debate video. Yay! Okay, so the format's going to be pretty simple. So anybody who wants to make a response or be part of the debate, the argument, either make an argument asserting what's being asserted in this video, or you make a counter argument saying there's some reason to believe something else, some rational reason, some logical reason, some sensible reason, whatever. And so just have the number of the video. So you just do a regarding and then the number of the video, DNG 2, this is going to be 0.1, I guess. And then you can title it whatever you want, I suppose. But yeah, consistent titles will help, I think. But it doesn't really matter. And the idea is to be persuasive, so try to be concise and all that kind of crap. But you can do a response video, you can play the video, however you want to do it. So I'm going to start with the end game. So I took notes today. The power went out, so I said, okay, write down some stuff, and it just ended up being the same argument. I mean, you can sort of see we've sort of figured out where we came from, origins, and there's stuff that has to be debated there. The big debate has to take place on the simplest things, because nobody can get anywhere else as long as they have the God delusion. So we really have to get people out of their God delusion. So that debate has to take place, even though it seems inane and silly and stupid, but we got to do it better because it's got to get done. There's just no human beings can't be rational as long as you're deluded. So it's kind of obvious. Then the middle place is this values kind of thing, just trying to figure out what is important in life. And I think then that argument just sort of gets dominated by this idea that you're trying to maximize, the efficiency equation, the amount of pleasure versus pain. And it doesn't really matter who's having the pleasure and who's having the pain. The idea is to make as little pain and as much pleasure as possible in the world, and that we all play our role in it. The future's bigger than the present, and the past is kind of irrelevant. Can't do much for them, can't fix the past. So all we can work with is today and tomorrow, and tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. So obviously there's a lot of tomorrows. So it's very good to do things that prevent suffering tomorrow. And that's where we get to the end game. Once you know what this all is, that this is completely metaphorical, analogizable to any addiction. Just pick one: heroin, cigarettes, it doesn't matter. We're addicted to life. We're born into an addiction. We're never really going to be satisfied. We're always going to keep saying stupid things that the typical average alcoholic says. Just one more drink, just one more glass, just one more cigarette, just one more, just one more, one more, one more, one more. And we're never going to be able to let go of it. We're always going to keep rationalizing and defending it out of psychological need. But if we're honest, have a real truthful and honest discussion about this crap is, what we want is silly shit. We'll be pleased if, for these stupid, kind of cheap and insignificant glories that we're after. Even if we give you what you want, a week later you're going to want something else pretty damn hard. And that's just the way our brains work. It's not a psychology game that can be won. And more importantly, I think, it's not risk that can be justified. I personally haven't lived the worst horrors, and so how could I endorse anybody else having those horrors imposed in them in the future? How can I say it's worth it? That would be silly. I think it's totally arrogant and beyond any individual, no matter how blissful and happy they think they are, to justify that kind of imposition. So that's a key word in this whole argument, is the fact that life is an imposition, that we have complete control over its existence, and it's time to engineer a graceful ending to the game, a graceful exit for life itself, because it is DNA out of control. It isn't doing anything beautiful or graceful or wonderful. It's a rotten, lousy, wife-beating, debaucherous, crazy motherfucker on steroids kind of thing. It's the worst human being on steroids. There's just nothing um, except our addictions that make any of this make sense. If we weren't addicted, we would be able to see it so clear, so obviously, how idiotic it is. But it's because we're caught up in the addiction, caught up in the motivational passions that we just can't see it for it's the truth. Psychologically, like I said, we can see it philosophically, and if you look at it philosophically enough, you'll start feeling it psychologically. And I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm just saying that the reason why you don't feel it psychologically is because you have used rationalizations and justifications, God and Gaia and whatever other bullshit to get you through the day, so to speak, to provide you with fake hope and false justifications. So anyway, there is these arguments about virtual reality and transhumanism and finding some other way to do the life thing. But we know the human race just isn't ready to do what it needs to do to get to any of those technologies in any kind of equitable and without it being a complete disaster. We're right now on the edge of a technological precipice where, just tiny bits of increases in technology will give one individual the ability to cause tremendous damage if they get pissed off. Right now there's common technologies that just with a little bit of perversion can be put to very malicious purposes. And that's just not going to work in the future. There's not going to be any Star Wars future where people are flying around in their light cruisers and it's a safe world. It won't be a safe world. So the fail-safe would be a virtual world or a transhuman world even where there are limits. So you either have transhumanism with limits or you have a completely unlimited virtual reality, but that's giving up on your freedom to be a caveman on the outside. You can't leave anybody out of virtual reality because they'll just be a typical human rat and they'll eat the house. they'll break the structure. They'll corrupt and eat a hole in the foundation and water will get in, or however you want to analogize it. They'll Fukushima you. So yeah, it's just a psychological game that we're caught up in. We've done it billions of times. It's all the same. There's no point in doing it over and over and over. The truth is if we gave you a profile of the average life that's going to be lived tomorrow in the future, let's say 30 years from now or 40 years from now, if I gave you a drawing of that human and I told you and I gave you the statistics of how it's going to live and what it's going to live on and how long it's going to live and what experiences it's going to go through, you wouldn't choose to live the life. And if I gave you a profile of the average sentient creature on this planet and gave you a profile of what it's going to experience and what it's going to endure, you wouldn't live the fucking life. So quit pretending this works. It doesn't work. It's just an insidious game. Like I said, this is to be argued in another video, but we know where we came from. It's consumption, reproduction, cannibalism, because it's an island planet essentially. You have a bunch of evolving organisms on an island. They will start eating each other. And addiction. So once you got to a sentient creature, you had this motivational mechanism of just an incessant and unyielding desire and want. And it will not be satisfied in any kind of holistic or efficient manner. We are, exploitation is almost a requirement of any kind of individual accomplishment or obtainment of any kind of quality of overall existence. And if you had to live a really honest life without exploiting, you probably wouldn't want to live it. Um, yeah, and if you do want to live it, it's only because you're stupid. That's the ultimate argument. Is that any bliss you get out of life is because you're is a product of ignorance. Any real comfort or any freedom from worry or fear is just because you're ignorant. You're not appreciating what you're part of. Um, just how insidious it is. You're just on your little roller coaster pretending everything's going to be alright the day before World War II or whatever the analogy would be. I'm sure people were laughing and having a good time the day before the earthquake in Japan. And that's all it is. It's just the bliss of ignorance. It has nothing to do with reality. Um, yeah, life just isn't a game that can be won. Let's just concede it and let's get out of here as gracefully as possible. It's going to be over eventually anyway. The universe is going to suck it all into a ball of nothing. Um, it's all going to be gone. Every little tiny piece of it is going to be gone. Uh, any there's going to be left nothing behind. There's no fingerprints, no signs, no tombstones, nothing. It's all going to be erased anyway. Um, so give it up. You know, it's only a sick addiction that keeps it going. It's just feeding on your addiction, your unwillingness to just concede. Yes, just okay. Stop. Don't make more of it. It doesn't take a huge amount of courage to say those simple words. All right, so that's the so really is like I guess this is the end game video. What is the end game for the human race? The ultimate logical conclusion is there is no game. The game can't be won. The end game is a graceful exit. The cleaner we get out of here, the more intelligent we'll prove ourselves to be. The longer we prolong it, the sloppier we allow it to become, the more we just prove we're idiots. That's the only end game. That's all there is. We win by getting out clean, as clean as possible. That's winning. There's no other way to win the game. So that's the argument. You've got a counter argument. Bring it on, so to speak, and so forth and whatnot.